Ashlyn has been an avid viewer and super fan of my show for many years and says that she takes the advice I give to my guests and applies it to her own life. She says watching my show has not only gotten her through her own personal struggles, but that I influenced her to pursue a career in law enforcement. Ashlyn, how did I do that? How did I influence you to go into law enforcement?
So I watched you for many years, as you said, and when you would tell young women, young mothers, how to get through it, it just touched my heart. And so as I got older, I was like, man, I cannot wait to get old enough to where I can keep these bad guys in jail and do the things you do, is help people out when they're scared to, go through what they're going through.
And so did you get a job in law enforcement then?
Yes, so I was working at the jail. I was a CEO, and it was quite interesting. I really loved it. I didn't let the badge go to my head. Every time I went to work, even though, they've done wrong, they're still human beings. So when they needed help, I was always, when I got the time, if they needed help, I got whatever they needed. Because, most people take their badge and they're, oh, they can just wait. Or, they're in here for a reason. But, people make mistakes, and, I'm, not all cops are bad. And because you were a cop, and I know you were a great cop, and I just love you.
Well, I appreciate that. And so you were a corrections officer. Are you still a corrections officer?
No, not at this time. My husband, with all the crazy things going out in the world, he made me stop for at the moment. And so right now I'm just a stay-at-home mom with my 3 kids and my husband.
Right. Well, with COVID, it's a totally different world. But you know what you said, and I think maybe it's a message for everybody who's entering law enforcement, right? Especially in this day and age, where you said, yeah, even though they might have did something wrong or bad or whatever, they're still people. And listen, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody does things they regret. Hopefully not bad enough where you end up in prison, but there should be chance. We talk about all the time. There should be chances at redemption, and I think it goes a long way with people coming out of the system if they're treated respectfully and fairly and not being abused, showing some empathy to them. So, I commend you because you're talking about that, and I think a lot of that needs to happen in law enforcement. Listen, it's a tough job. Police officers, correction officers. I'm a big backer of police. I know it's not a popular stance nowadays, but you need the police. And I think most police men and women that go to work, corrections officers, they want to go to work and they want to do a good job and they want to help people. So, I commend you for that.
Thank you.
Now, I'm told that you like the episodes I give advice, right?
Yes.
What advice have you found? What advice have you found that I've given that really hits home with you?
With watching you every single day, you just help me through day-by-day struggles, what I've been going through for a long period of time in my lifetime.
Well, I thank you, and we have a clip, so we're going to watch that now. Don't let a man slow you down, because you're going to go places. At some point, you have to stand up and say, hey, you're not going to treat me like that. You are not going to disappear for days at a time and not be a father to our children. And if you do it again, you're never coming back in this house. The only thing I can say to you is embrace what you know. Don't ever do drugs. Be a good mother. Protect your son as much as you can. I think your dad gave you a lot of good advice.
Yeah.
When you start dating men, and I hope you will, that you bring the guys around your dad so he can, just like my daughter, she started dating a guy, he's got to come home, I got to meet him. So Tiffany, like your dad says, you don't know me, but you know who I am, and I'm telling you the same thing your father said. Don't date this guy. Break it off. Love shouldn't come and go, right?
Yeah.
Love should always be the baseline of why you're together with somebody, right? And when you're in love with somebody, you might get mad at them, you might get angry at them, like my wife got real angry at me 2 nights ago. Because I locked the door. But you don't then start calling somebody names, be disrespectful, tearing each other's stuff up, and then disappear for 9 months. Those things don't happen, right?
I feel like whatever.
But if
happened
you
in this-
allow it to happen and you
gonna
stay in
keep
a
happening.
relationship, you're kind of doomed.
Yeah.
And even though if you stay together, you're never going to be happy. You want something that you might never get. Okay? Don't live your life in anger, what she did to you.
Try not to.
Because if you are, it's going to be hard for you to make your kids happy. And don't do to your kids what your mother did to you. So, Ashlyn, of those clips, what's your favorite piece of advice I gave?
Don't do to your kids like your own family members done to you. And that's the main priority that I think about every single day.
Because that kind of
I have-
relates to what happened with you, right?
Yep.
That one hits home a little bit.
Yes, a lot.
Yeah. Well, you know, what I always say with this show, people can relate to the show because a lot of times the stories that we're doing, the situations that the people involved in, there's 1 million people in America that are going through the same thing. And, you know, by giving, you know, like I gave advice to that woman, to that man, and if somebody out there who's struggling with the situation, like you say you did in the past, if you watch an episode like that and take some advice and it helps you, then listen, this show it's doing its job. Well, listen, we're really thankful. I think society owes you a thank you for being a CEO. And you know what? Being a stay-at-home mom is a real important job, too.
Yes, especially with my kids. They're very ornery, but I love them to death. My husband, they're...
So your kids are different than everybody else's?
Yeah. A little bit.
Well, I just
I'll just send them home to you.
There you go. Well, no, I'm getting out of that stage. I don't want to go back. But listen, I want to thank you for doing an incredibly difficult job being a CEO. It makes me feel so satisfied knowing that we reach out across that screen and make a difference in people's lives, that we're doing a good job getting the word out there, giving advice. People are taking it. So listen, all the best of luck for you in the future. And if there's anything I can do for you in the future, please reach out to us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I love your show, and I just want to thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.